Hey, welcome back to the Road to Retirement. My name is Chris Anselmo, Brookside Tax and Financial Group, and today we have our co-host Tony Shore and our in-house host Tony Marlette Jr.
Good morning.
I'm starting to get that radio voice. What do you think?
I,
I was
I
going to
think
say
you're getting
you,
better.
you don't quite have those shore pipes, but
Yeah, right.
you're getting there.
So today we wanted to, among all the other things we do for our clients, we added another service. Believe it or not, Mr. Shore, we
Wow.
we are now have federal benefits programs. So for
Wow.
all the people that work in somehow for the federal government, whether it be the courthouses, NASA, we have a lot in Cleveland. We have the IRS, we have the FBI, we have the federal courthouses, we have a mint, we have all those people who work for the federal government here. So we added a federal benefits program, and Tony Marlette Jr. and Jeff are heading that up in
Wow.
concert with
Excellent.
people you may know, the Lone Star guys from out in Texas.
They
Mike
are
yeah,
they in the country. They're
yeah.
the experts on
So Mike
federal
Byers has
benefits.
we've been working with Mike Byers and his team there. We're putting on some webinars for people. I guess we actually started, I think, yesterday, and we have a few more going on today. So people can sign up for the webinars. We're going to consistently do those. So, and then most of the appointments, because people are all over the place, we are able to do Zoom appointments or something similar to Zoom, whatever the Google version is, or so people don't have to come into the office if it's inconvenient for them. But yeah, we're excited about it.
Well, what is that we have to now start listing the things you don't offer there because now
Gym memberships.
you guys I need an oil change, and if I could drive into that drive-through you
We
I
do
have
was
have
going
a
to
there.
say
we do
we
have
do
a
have the
drive-through. Maybe we
drive-through.
could maybe we
Car
get an
wash?
excavator and get one of those. They could dig out the hole and
Yeah.
they'll put somebody in the pit and they could change your
Get
oil
your
for you.
oil changed while you get your finances looked at. So,
Yeah. So
you guys are great. In fact, do you guys offer, if I bring in my big coin jar, can you exchange? Can people come there and exchange coins for cash or?
That's next.
cash.
Ask us next week,
I
Tony.
mean,
We'll have it.
this next generation doesn't even use cash. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. I just read an article. Some countries in Europe, the majority, like 95% of businesses won't accept cash in certain
That's
countries now.
crazy. Well, I mean, a part of I talked to somebody who runs a parking lot, believe it or not, and one of my things not staying in my ear there. And he said, "Look, when we have cash, we have to make sure the employee doesn't steal it." I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, you think people wouldn't steal?" But
From their
employees
own
doesn't steal it.
company.
We don't have to count it. We don't have to separate it. We don't have to take it to the bank. We'll pay our 3%. And then so I said, "Yeah, well, but the parking used to be $20. Now it's $40." Like, so he's,
Yeah.
well.
And
So
that's one thing that's price is going up is driving more people to use less cash.
yeah,
And people use their phones and now tap the card. You just tap. You don't even have to swipe it
I
or
don't
run
like.
anything.
I'm old.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
You better get used to it because
Yeah.
U.S. is actually lagging. Of developed countries, we're like last in number of businesses that are going.
But what is Visa and MasterCard just going to own the world? I mean,
Probably,
I mean,
yeah.
I know when when the pandemic hit, we picked stocks that were pandemic related. So we picked Amazon and everything that touches kind of Amazon. The
Yeah.
3M who provides the boxes and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. We also bought MasterCard and Visa because
Yep.
figure everyone was using MasterCard and Visa. So
Yeah. Yep. People use Apple Pay or Android, Google Pay to pay for everything now.
So the federal benefits arena is a little bit different than the rest of us who are not in the federal program because they have their own retirement plans, they have their own life insurance plan, they have their own health insurance plan. So it's really, um, it's not apples to apples a lot of times. So they are definitely the orange. So we thought we'd bring on this process so that people can come to us and get the straight answers and make some wise decisions. So Tony, what's their primary retirement plan called?
It's actually FERS, Federal Employee Retirement System, or FERS, as a lot of the federal employees will refer to it. A lot of the employees that we've seen and that we've come across anyway, they're relatively well versed on their benefits. So when they come to us, really what they're looking for is like Chris said, somebody who specializes in the benefits and can run them a calculation as far as what's their annuity payment going to be, aka their pension payment. So they have a document called a statement of earnings and leave that they can bring into us. And a statement of earnings and leave really is nothing more. It's similar to a 1099, except it's not tax information. It's your actual, like a financial resume of money that you've earned, time that you've had off, how much sick time you've accumulated. We use that document, and it's a one-page document to calculate all of their benefits. It's amazing how much information that we can get from one document.
So what we're really trying to accomplish is to replace their net take home pay. So if they're used to taking home $1,000 a week, how do we replace that? Is it all coming from that first program? If it's a little bit short, how do we use their other money or their savings or their retirement plans to supplement that so they really aren't missing a paycheck?
Yeah, good question. So and that's a good point about starting with the net pay. We work backwards when it comes to that. So we'll start with their net pay and say this is what the minimum of what we need to shoot for you to take home. So like Chris mentioned, if the pension payment or the annuity falls short, what else do we do? Well, there's a lot of other benefits that they have. They have some of them, some employees, a lot of them will qualify for reduced Social Security. And then you
Mm.
even have a benefit before Social Security kicks in, known as a Social Security supplement, where you get a certain percentage of your PIA or your primary insurance amount from Social Security to
So
bridge
if
the
I
gap.
so my Social Security uh, age is 67.
Mhm.
So if I'm a federal employee and retire before that, then they have some type of plan to get me to that number.
Right. Yeah. So it's usually they divide it. The divisor is divided by four. So say if you're 3 years away, then they divide it by four, and that's 0.75. So you qualify for 75% of your Social Security
Well, that's
benefit up until that time until you're eligible.
okay. Well, that's better than
Um,
nothing.
well, yeah, it's a fantastic benefit. I
Yeah.
mean, it really is a great benefit because it allows you to retire early without having to tap into different assets to make up for
So
something.
then, do they keep their health insurance too, or they have a program for that too?
They can. They can keep their health insurance.
Because
A
that's
lot
one of
of
the biggest questions we get. How to most people are paycheck people. They're used to getting paid, and they're used to the employer covering their health insurance. So now what? Well, I'm retired, and do I have health benefits? And I think through the federal government they can, right?
correct. Yeah, you can keep those if you get out of it and you opt for something else, you don't get back on it. So if
Okay.
you choose to go independent, um, you don't get back on the retiree benefits, and those go for spousal as well.
Until you hit 65 and you go on Medicare.
Correct.
Okay. All right. What I understand they have some life insurance benefits too.
So they do. The FEGLI is what it's abbreviated as. I assume that's Federal Employee Group Life, but your FEGLI benefits. There's really five breakdowns of that. The one that most people take is it's known as a 75% reduction. So you don't pay any premiums if you elect that one. You don't pay any premiums after age 65. Your benefit is based off of your highest year salary. So
Tony's
uh,
saying, "Can I get one of those federal jobs?" What do you
Yeah,
think, Mister
really.
Short?
they really do.
You wonder where all this money's going.
Oh, well, and I come from the state of Minnesota, where the state is the largest employer in the
Yeah.
state, is the state of Minnesota, and their benefits are unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
people try to get jobs with the state because You pay nothing for health. You pay hardly anything for healthcare.
Yeah.
And this isn't federal, but it's state. So state government, state employees as
Yeah.
well. But I have family members that are federal government workers, and I'm looking at what they are getting offered. And my brother-in-law, who works for the government, he's out in Reston in the DC area, and he's going to retire at 50 something years old. I mean, it's just like, what?
Yeah, a lot of them are like 20, 25 years and in. I know, and we also have state retirement program here, STRS, and we have a state teachers retirement program here. Those are really good retirement programs. And for the teachers, oftentimes teachers were probably underpaid for what all they do, but they end up getting a really good pension.
Yeah, they have excellent benefits.
And so I think the federal program's pretty much the same way, except if you're in Congress, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean,
Somehow you ended up being a
Yeah.
multi-millionaire and you were making 50 grand a year. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother segment.
Well, yeah. If we're going to start talking about Senate and Congress and the House, those guys that don't, for years, they didn't have to pay any Social Security. They don't have health care. They get government subsidized health care, and they get everything that they won't give other people. It's like crazy.
yeah.
But I
Yeah,
like federal
and-
benefits, and I think our federal employees deserve to get good benefits. And so for our listeners out there who are federal employees, I think it's great you guys are offering this, because I know as a fact, because I'm very familiar with the federal benefits programs that some people offer in the classes. And it's important, because even if you think you really know your benefits, you're probably missing out, and there are ways to maximize those benefits. So anyone listening who's a federal employee, first of all, thank you, because it's a service. You're working for our country, and I think that's great. Yeah, so I've always thought about working for the government, but radio. So,
Radio, of course.
radio.
You got to have a
Actually,
government radio show, right?
Actually, I was a stringer for Voice of America Radio, which is the armed services and
Not
government
sure
radio.
Not sure what
So
a stringer is, but I thought he said stripper. I'm like, what?
no,
the heck?
a stringer is somebody who goes to like I'd go to a concert and go to the press conference where for reporters where they or an event, and they do a press conference, and you plug your little tape machine and recorder into the board, and you're there and you ask questions. So that's what a stringer is. It's a reporter, basically.
Okay.
You get sound on tape. Is that what they used to call it?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
You kids today wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But yeah. Yeah, but federal benefits are important. And, some people think, well, I'm a federal employee. I know what my benefits are. Why are you guys offering help? I think that's a big question. And you've been talking about it, but there are so many things that people
Right.
miss out on and are eligible for, and they don't take advantage. It's like they're leaving money on the table, right?
Yeah, and oftentimes the elections you make, they're irrevocable. Like you can't go back and change them, right? So, like Tony said, like if you got off the insurance program, you're like, I don't really like this insurance. You can't get back on, right?
Right. Yeah,
so
there's things you need to know.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you're talking to someone like Tony, Marlette, and
Yeah.
the team that we have over at Lone Star in Texas to help us guide you through those programs. So you actually, you'll have all the information. You still have to make the decisions what you want, but you hate to go in it uninformed and just check a
Well,
box
here's the
and you
bigger
regret.
thing. Yeah, and I mean, we didn't even touch on TSP, but TSP Thrift Savings Plan is a way. That's a defined contribution plan. That's a way too, where we can bridge the gap between anything that they're not receiving with their annuity to get them really to make anything up like that. TSP is a really good plan, but when you leave employment, we've had conversations before about what your best options are. TSP is really a way where we can help too with managing the funds and managing the investment. So once we put a plan together for you, or once we put a calculation together for you, then we work that into the overall financial plan. We run the compass, we run the Social Security maximizer, we do the risk assessment and then the portfolios with Gradient. So
And then the other thing they just recently released is they're now adding some options where they can get access to mutual funds, because usually it's been there's like 4 or 5 funds. There's I think a C, an S, an I, an F,
And an L.
and an L.
Yeah.
So
Alphabet soup.
yeah, you
Right.
think they'd be A, B, C, D, E, right? But they're
Yeah,
not. But
like
so
Medicare.
so
Yeah.
what the C is for the common stocks. I think the I is for international. The S
Yep.
is for small cap, and
Yeah.
um, but um, it's still questionable. Do you want to go onto the mutual fund side? The options are there, and I think it's good to have the options. But when you go
Yeah.
on the mutual fund side, then you're going to pay all the expenses related with those mutual funds, where you weren't necessarily paying it with the federal programs. So
Yeah.
if
And
you're just going to
it's
get a common stock fund, you could pick the C fund and not have to pay
right.
the mutual funds.
Yeah, and I mean there is some value where it's a loaded fund. They're loaded funds, and you don't pay a load for them. So what that means is, ordinarily you buy a managed and actively managed mutual fund. We've talked about it before. You're going to pay a certain percentage as an upfront. With the
Right.
mutual fund window, you just pay a flat trading cost, which is going to be way less than the load of the fund. So there's a little bit of value there if there's a fund that you like, if there's an actively managed fund that beats the index pretty consistently. Otherwise, you're probably right. You probably want to stick to the letter funds that
Yeah,
they're
I'm
providing
not sure
there.
how many mutual fund offerings they have, or they're open to everything, but
I mean,
I'm
they
sure
have they have
I haven't
like
seen the list yet, because
over
it just
5,000 options.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah,
when did it just it I mean, they've been talking about this for like 20 years, and they
right.
Yeah.
finally did it. I think, was it this year or last
This
year?
summer,
This
this
summer?
summer they
Oh,
did it. Yeah,
really? It just
Because
June,
it
happened.
took them like,
June.
I I wanna say it was, I don't know, it was almost
12
20
or
years.
13
Yeah.
year, yeah, it was 12 or 13 years to implement it, and then I don't know how long they were talking about it, but it
And
really picked
explain
up
what you're
traction in
talking about. What
2009.
what exactly again? Repeat that.
S
Have they
so
implemented?
so generally, the federal program had, I don't know, 5 or 6 different funds you could pick from. They had a stable
Sure.
fund, they
Yep.
had a C fund for common stocks, they had an I for
Yep.
international stocks, an S for small caps. So there was like 5 or 6 you could pick from.
Right.
Now, I don't know, through legislation or through lawsuit, I don't know what it was, but they implemented, you can now pick a bunch of mutual funds that are not the government funds. So you can actually buy, you want to buy Vanguard, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
they
Okay.
open that up to, you can pick and choose a bunch of mutual funds, but as
So
we
more
talked,
choices, a little more flexibility.
right?
Yeah,
But
it's
it
kind of the
comes
same problem people have with 401ks, right? Because
correct.
they're employer sponsored plans. They just have set like, high, medium, and low risk. And I mean, I work for a company, literally three choices: high, medium, and low. And they didn't
Mhm.
tell you what was in
So
them. You could go back, get the
yeah,
prospectus eventually and dig through and find out. But that's why you always recommend people, and you put enough in to get your match, but then you go to an IRA, so there's more flexibility, right?
yeah. So and that happened to clients years ago, and I think some of the plan administrators got sued over it. We
Oh.
had one years ago, it's probably 20 years ago, where there was no like cash option in their 401k plan. So they couldn't get out of the market. So this was,
Mm.
I think, 2008, and the market was tanking, and we wanted to sell off, and they're like, there's no place to put it. Like, there was no stable value fund or anything. Like, how
Wow.
could you not have that in your plan?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so we said, well, we're just going to move it. By the time they took like a month and a half to move the money, the person
Sure.
lost $60,000. So it's like there was nothing he could do. He couldn't get out of the market. So
Wow.
it was horrible. But
Wow. But I'm glad the federal, at least the federal plan, has offered some more
yeah,
It's a
options.
really
it's
Yeah.
good
good.
plan, and I think it's a great thing to take advantage of. You mentioned the teachers, the STRS retirement before. Another great plan, and I think I'm married to a teacher. I know a lot of teachers, as I think a lot of people do. The pension benefits are fantastic, and they probably outweigh
Oh yeah.
the 403b benefits. So
Right.
a lot of teachers, I don't think, and this is not necessarily recommended, they don't put into the 403b, or even maybe they just do very little. Whereas I think federal employees take advantage of TSP, and they have the outstanding benefits of the
Yeah.
FERS as
Yeah.
well.
I just think the
Wow.
underlying thing is like you just need to talk to people that are competent in this area because there's so many ways you could go wrong, and a lot of them you can't fix. Like I just got a haircut the other day, and if it's not Sue, but if it was a bad haircut, it would grow back in a month and you get it cut again. But um, if you make an election that you can't change and you messed up it for the rest of your life, that's not good. And it could be
No.
that it wasn't that you did anything wrong, you just didn't know what to do. Right.
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 You're like, there's 17,000 pages. I'm just checking this box. I can't take it anymore. So,
Right.
that happens.
I feel that way anytime I go through benefits paperwork,
Yeah,
right?
it's like
Yeah.
some of the IRS forms. The form's one
Oh,
page and the instructions 12. Like
Right.
people are like, I'm not reading all that. So,
Yeah.
so it's good that we now offer that program because here in the Cleveland area, we have a lot of federal employees. I can't even name all the. There's some I don't even know about because just think there's an IRS, there's an FBI, there's there's NASA. We have we have airports security. There's just a lot of people here.
yeah,
So,
TSA employees, there's a
yeah,
lot
all those are
in
federal
the area
employees.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we've been trying to get into this program for probably 5 or 6 years, and I would say it's not exclusive, but it's very limited because there's only certain people like Mike Byers and his group that have access to the federal employee database.
Yep.
So it's really difficult to get in. And finally, I think our area in Ohio or the whole of Ohio opened up, and Mike said, "Hey, you want to jump in?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah,
So
and I
yeah,
mean, if
Smart.
to me, if we didn't have this program at Brookside, we might tell somebody, well, hey, when you get your pension calculation, come back to us and we'll help you with the TSP. Truthfully, you can probably go anywhere to get somebody to help you roll over or move the TSP or
yeah,
invest the TSP. But to me,
that's the
if
easy
I'm
part.
a federal employee, I why wouldn't I just go with the company or the people that's able to help me out with the FERS calculation, the
Right.
FERS calculation? And that's exactly what we're able to do.
And I think
That
Yeah, the
is
whole
what
the whole federal
differentiates us.
benefits picture. Yeah.
yeah,
Correct. With the
Yeah, and you
insurance,
need an
the health
expert. You
insurance.
need to
Yep.
work with people who are experts and work with Mike because they're the premier specialists in federal benefits.
yeah,
And so
they're
you
they're
want to
all over
work.
the nation.
Yeah, exactly. And they want to, and you're their people there. So, and they have different advisors in each state that do this, that they work with. And again, they have access, and they're the premier experts in the U.S. And Tony, now you're that expert there, and I think it just makes sense. If you're a federal employee, you need to call and set up a
Yeah,
meeting with Tony to go over your benefits package.
yeah. Generally, what we can do is we can actually take the calculations, run them by Mike and his team, make sure they're good to go, and there are basically our back office for this. So if we have any
Yeah.
questions
Right.
that we don't have the direct answer to, we just call Mike and we'll get it for him. So
Yeah, that's another thing that's so big. They support us really well. We can go to them with any of this.
because the TSP part's easy, that's kind of like just rolling over a 401k or whatever. But I think the primary part is how do I replace that take home
Right.
paycheck, and that's
Yeah.
where all those calculations come in.
Plus, the other part is if you're a federal employee, you're going to a place with a federal benefit specialist like Tony, and then also you have estate planning there and
Yeah,
retirement income planning as part
Right.
of it,
and the tax.
and taxes.
Yeah,
So yeah, so
we're
I
gonna
mean
we're gonna
it's
need another logo.
yeah, you might need
we're gonna have
another.
to we
You're
have
gonna
to
have to
need another
add a
piece of the puzzle.
you're
Federal
gonna have to add
benefits.
another level to that building there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. The daycare is going there, Tony,
yeah,
and then
that's
we'll add
that's
a
what
third
they're
level.
talking about. They're
There you
like,
go.
Chris, because we have some good for us. We have some childbearing year people here.
Now they're
Um,
on you to build
yeah,
a
they're like,
daycare
yeah,
center there.
we can, yeah. So we got let's see, one, two,
That's
we
what
got three or
happens when
four
you have a
people that
growing.
that are in
You're
that
hiring
area.
number one. You're hiring people too young, like Marlette there. Number two,
Hey,
He
I'm
looks
yeah,
young.
I just look young, Tony.
He,
I'm
and
in
he's
my
then
young.
number
40s. I'm sorry. I told Chris when they hired me, I'm like, look, you guys probably thought you were hiring some 25, 26-year-old hotshot. I go, I'm
Yeah.
really sorry, but I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
But you're hiring young people who have families, and you're young
Yeah.
compared to me, and then you're also growing. So that's the problem when you have a growing business and you have young employees. You're going to
Well, I
have
like
to
my
build them a daycare.
I like the employees that have children and be in debt. So that
Yeah,
means that means they have to come to work, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's true.
Everything
Yeah,
was paid for, they might not show up every day, right?
that's true. Yeah.
So, okay, so I think we're almost out of time, but great federal program. Look forward to that. Tony, how do they get a hold of us? And are we having a splash? I think we're going to have a splash page built for federal programs so they can know when the webinars are coming.
Yes, good
Okay.
point. So we are doing webinars on these. We have some going now. We're gonna craft our own pretty soon. We are gonna have a landing page on our website. If you can go to our website at brooksidetax.com, schedule an appointment. We will have a thing for a
Federal
template for
benefits.
the federal program
Okay.
eventually. And then, I mean, for now, call us. Just give
Yeah.
us a call or go online to schedule an appointment and then let them know you're part of the federal employee program. Even if you just want, if you have your statement of earnings and leave, just want a calculation to consider, when this makes sense for you. We'll work with you on that. If you're listening or watching, don't forget to click, comment, and subscribe.
All right. Okay, so there we have it. That's another episode of Road to Retirement. Hopefully, it'll be a smooth road to retirement and a long road to retirement. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.